did a couple of trips this year. Fredericksburg, the museum. We were just talking about that. Did a panel there a couple months ago. I was there for an EWO event in January.
It's for Beyond the Call, right?
With Beyond the Call. We got a lot of stuff in the works for next year already, planning for the 85th here at Pearl Harbor, but this is the 84th, obviously, and we have 5 veterans with us that we raise funds for. Not only Black Rifle, but some other generous contributions, and we just couldn't do it without that. So we're really honored to be back.
The hotel you're staying in seems like it's a World War II hotel now.
At the
Yeah.
Ala Moana. Yeah, yeah.
The Rosies are there too. Some of the Rosies.
Are they?
Yeah. What about in your business? What are you doing lately?
I did a movie back home a couple months ago, a Lifetime movie, which was, they're thrillers, you know. This one's called Video Call Murder. I had a pretty decent role in that, shot for a couple weeks. Otherwise, it's been fairly slow, just because of the changes in the industry and, you know, the U.S. production companies want to bring up as many American actors as they can, so it makes it a little bit more difficult for us, but I've been able to spend a lot more time with Beyond the Call and taking care of my mom. She's good, her health is good. She has Alzheimer's, so short-term memory is obviously quite faded, but she can look after herself. She's still got a wonderful sense of humor. She's as lovely as can be, doesn't complain about anything. You know, it's harder on me in some respects, but she's being looked after while I'm away, and you know, it gives me peace of mind that she's safe and secure, and I get to do things like this every once in a while. It was just so moving, and I hadn't done it before, and I hadn't met any of the Rosies before. I saw them at the parade year before when we were here with Tim Gray, World War II Foundation. That was really special because so many of the male veterans, obviously, and rightly so, get so much attention. It's so nice to see these wonderful ladies getting that attention as well. When they played taps in there, in that, you know, and the sound of it reverberating off of the monument, and it's, the sun is setting, and what a beautiful, beautiful ceremony to end such an amazing week. That's like, you know, for me, if I believe I mentioned before, my grandfather in the Canadian Navy, RCMP Marine Division before that, and then that was taken over by the Canadian Navy, which is under control of the British Navy. And he captained 9 different ships through 5 years of war, sunk 2 subs. And there are virtually no commemorations in Canada. No, Halifax Harbor didn't get attacked, although it was very well protected. There were certainly German U-boats all around. In the St. Lawrence, the Germans were able to plant a few radar stations, small radar stations. The islands off in Newfoundland, I think. Anyway, it always makes me think of my grandfather when I'm here, and I think I didn't get to meet him because he was killed in a car accident before I was born, but I know he'd be very proud of what I'm doing on the acting side, I'm sure, but also giving back in this way because of just all the wonderful things that have happened in my life because of portraying Andy Haldane. Had he not done what he did, I wouldn't be here now. Like, there was no other role for me in that series, or if they just skipped Sledge's story and how important that is, you know, it was the main middle piece of the Pacific. And Henry Sledge, who wrote a book basically filling in all the holes that were left out of his father's book, and he was at this conference, the Nimitz conference. And when I was listening to him speak about the book and his father, and then it just hit me. It's like, if his father never wrote that book, there would have probably not been a Pacific, or it would have been very different. But certainly I wouldn't have been in it because they wouldn't have had the character of Andy Haldane in it. So, small world.
Is there any thought about redo Pacific a similar type of story?
No, I think there's a movie in the works that I've caught wind of. I can't really talk about it.
Oh yeah, I understand.
I think that's going to happen, but
Okay.
certainly HBO, they didn't want to do Masters. It was just like, this is too much for money. Like, so that's when Disney stepped in.
What Masters?
Masters of the Air.
Oh, Masters of the Air.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I'm thinking HBO maybe is sort of done with that, and there's so many other stories you can tell, but the expense of it is just
Yeah.
huge. Who's going to take that on? However, again, just the number of young people that have caught on to the Pacific and Masters is just, I'd say in the last 5 years, it's just been exponential. It's so humbling because you're not even being here with the veterans, and Tracy will want me. It's like we went to Kaneohe Bay, the Marine base, and she's like, I want you to speak, and you got these veterans there and real Marines, and I'm sort of going, why am I doing this? And then I think of Andy and honoring his name and his legacy, and you just go with that because I have the honor of telling his story, which never would have been told without the book, without the series. So you just got to get over your own ego about things, and it's not about you, and just be there for the veterans. It makes it a lot easier. We're in talks about the 85th next year, and American Airlines, Randy Sillinger in the meeting was talking about trying, to get 85 veterans for the 85th. And I think his number right now is 70 something. It's such a big deal. And to have this, people think of Hawaii, and it's like, you remember, coming here, vacations, et cetera, and so forth. But the original battlefield, like this is a battlefield. And, with Beyond the Call, we want to expand our mission into doing tours, and a big part of that is bringing them to Hawaii. So say if we, you're going to Guam, but we're going to start in Hawaii and do the tour and understand this is where it started, and then be able to take people to Guam, Peleliu.
You'll be the Peleliu guy?
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, it's in the works. I don't know how many people, that's a rough one to go to. You go somewhere like Peleliu, I mean, it's just a completely different landscape and battlefield, and how the Japanese were so entrenched in those caves, and it's just mind-blowing. Like, you can see something on TV, but when you go there and experience it, and what happened to the native people all around there, and to go into a tunnel, a cave that could hold 1,000 men. The engineering of it itself, is insane. And the terrain was as much a threat, the weather, not to say Europe was a pancake or anything like that, but we talked in the panel about, because Band of Brothers, their boot camp was in England, and they had barracks and they had cots. They still got it pretty rough.
Nightclubs.
Nightclubs. They were out partying. No, but Freddie Joe Farnsworth, who was one of our military advisors, and had a small acting role in it in episode 9, Okinawa. He said, the boot camp for these guys was out in the middle of a rainforest. Here's a tent, make it yourself, which I couldn't do, like we talked about last time. And the terrain, the weather, you were sleeping on the ground, like they wanted us to absorb all that, and the training was, listen, you got to get proficient in all these weapons and tactics and everything like that, within the confines of this environment, which they were phenomenal at guiding us through, and that shows in the series.
Are you considering having a speaking role?
We're probably going to do a panel. The last time we did it was in the theater at the Aviation Museum. I think this time around it's going to be in Hangar 79, with the screen, try and get more guys, maybe a few of the bigger names, and make it, a really bigger deal. Main priority, in this meeting was like the veterans and their health, first and foremost, if they can't go or it's iffy, you're not going to take them. And everything around all the planning is like ceremony's not too long, always sort of covered, but what's fun for them, right? And what was it for the 80th, the ceremony that Gary Sinise was at?
Gary.
Yeah.
It was the 80th anniversary of the end of the war. It
So,
was on the Missouri.
right.
Yeah, right.
So many of the veterans said the concert they had the most fun at.
Gary Sinise band.
Yeah, Gary
Lieutenant
Sinise
Dan
band, Lieutenant Dan band, and the parade, which didn't happen for that, but the parade that's done here. I mean, they love that. You don't want to drag them out to things where it's too hot or it takes too long or you get too many speeches and stuff from politicians, et cetera, and so forth, which doesn't seem to happen so much here, maybe a little bit more in Normandy. So we're very conscious of that and making it just a nice, easy experience for them. And if there's any other events, anything I can do or speak at, I'd love to do that.
Would you ever consider playing Dean Darrow?
I mean, am I too old?
I don't know. What do you think, Becky?
Hair and makeup? Get rid of.
I think you could do it.
Oh, I'd love to. You get so known for playing.
Lieutenant Haldane.
Yeah, if I mean, there's other guys that have played various military roles, but if I never did anything that big again, that's okay. It's enriched my life tremendously. It's hard to even put it into words, and the more I give, the more you get back, and that's just a great lesson in life and a great way to lead your life if you can. I'm not a saint by any means, but just knowing that I can give back in some way and be known for that role is fabulous.
Thank you for what you do for the veterans community. It's
My
very
pleasure.
important. Do you think the country is going to forget Pearl Harbor when all the survivors go to honor?
No. I mean, there's too many people that just keep that narrative going. And, like I say, Canada, we don't commemorate as much. You wish you could be more, but there's still so much more to be learned. And the community is so giving and heartfelt, and both sides of the aisle, et cetera, and so forth, right? It doesn't really matter. It's just like, we have this common history and thread that this greatest generation that gave us our freedom, let's just, if you can start from there and develop relationships or your community in that way, I think people get along a lot better, and, maybe there'd be less BS going around.
The response we got to the video was amazing.
I teared up. I think, you expect to see this warrior who, all the battle scenes and everything like that, but you've seen that, and there were guys in the series that, their story or their arc, that was a little bit more. Certainly if people knew more about Andy and, Guadalcanal, Cape Gloucester, and then Peleliu, but to have that softer side, that just like, that's why his men, they knew he was going to take care of them the best he could.
A man who isn't scared out here is either a liar or dead.
History is full of wars fought for 100 reasons. But this war, our war, well, I want to believe, I have to believe that every step across that airfield, every man that's wounded, every man I lose, that it's all worthwhile because our cause is just. Of course, if a just cause came with some hot food and cold water, then it'd be okay too.
He could be hard, but he was always fair. But he had that. Like I said, I got that from reading his letters. It was written into the script, and it was a little bit, okay, do I really go that way? And I'm like, I'm going to go that way, and if the directors and producers are happy with it, then fantastic, because it was a side of a Marine officer, I think, that people needed to see. A human being I think he was just human, and so many people could relate to him, and in the comments, it's just hard not to cry. And also other people, if they're not thinking of it in terms of a war picture, but that they just related to how this man dealt with the insanity that was around him, and just focused on the individual in order to help them. Like, just, he's like, I got you, and that meant a lot. And young kids from around the world sending messages. It's such a gift.